The best autocross course designers dream up challenging cone configurations drivers must decode in order to find speed. Because many autocross clubs use the same sites over and over, course designers have to dig deep into their bag of tricks to keep things interesting. The course laid out on the airport runway for this event is defined by the art of deception. This video shows my first and fastest runs, breaks down the deceptive elements and how to attack them correctly, and reveals how bad a run can be when you attack them incorrectly. My 2000 GT is only up against one other car in Cam T. The driver is new to the club, so I don't have any data on how fast he is. My goals are to take home a win and post a top 20 raw time. It's 85 degrees and the course is dry. If I can decode the design, the course is fast. Posting a good time will depend on avoiding the traps. The areas of concern are the rolling start, the sections that look slow but are actually fast, the elements that steer you toward the wrong line, the pivot cone that's really a sweeper, and the long straightaway that uses aggression against the drivers. I spotted the deceptive areas on my course walks, but seeing them at speed on my first run will help me refine my attack strategy. My 315 tires are set at 28 psi. .134. That's not a bad time considering my tires were cold and I missed a shift. The reason I missed the shift was because I was too aggressive in the first deceptive element, the rolling start. Before my next run, I need to analyze all of the deceptive areas on course to find the fastest way through. The breakdown begins with that tricky rolling start. Autocrossers are always looking for any advantage they can get. A good aggressive start can set the tone for your run. But in this instance, the rolling start requires more patience than aggression. There's a tight turn immediately after launching, and the left start cone is easy to hit if I go 10/10. On my first run, I launched too hard into a sharp steering input and tried to shift too quickly, which caused me to miss second gear. Those errors cost me time. I need to be slower and smoother to ensure a clean start. Then I can attack the first sweeper. As enticing as a rolling start is, in this one, there's more to lose than there is to gain by being super aggressive. The second deceptive section comes after the wallums. The elements appear to be slow, but they're faster than they look. Being fast in and through will improve my times, but I have to attack ahead of the cones. Getting on the gas prior to the wall on the left, then using a partial lift to help me wiggle around the wall, will set me up to get on the throttle harder ahead of the single cone after the wall. I'll be going faster as the elements get more open and attackable heading up the runway. Waiting until I'm at or past the single cone to get aggressive with my throttle input will decrease my duration of acceleration in this section. The third deceptive part of the course is this chute. It's angled toward the pivot cone. The problem is the chute is steering me wrong. If I follow the line the chute puts me on, I'll have to make a slower, sharper turn around the pivot cone. A V, not a U. As I mentioned earlier, that pivot cone is secretly a sweeper. Making a smooth arc out of the first chute, past the pivot cone, and into the second chute will be a much faster line. In order to run that line, I need to keep the car pointed straight through the angled chute. The fourth deceptive area comes immediately after the second chute. There are 4 offset gates leading into noisy elements ahead of a big left into a dogleg past the shed. Just like in the second deceptive section, increasing my duration of acceleration will help me find speed. The offset gates are relatively slow, but the noisy section is faster than it looks. If I get on the gas hard ahead of the 4th gate, I'll carry much more speed into and through the noisy section. Waiting until I'm past the 4th gate to get on the gas will leave a lot of time on the table. The 5th deceptive section comes just after the shed. It's really easy to run a line that forces me to make a sharper, slower steering input around this cone. That will require braking ahead of the cone and driving over a bump at an angle. Smoothing out the arc will allow me to use a partial lift to help me turn. Then I can accelerate prior to the cone. Driving over the bump at less of an angle will keep the car composed heading into a fast section. There's a lot of speed to be found by putting the car in the right place. The 6th deceptive segment is the long straight chute leading into the 3rd sweeper. Long straightaways are rare on an autocross course. Drivers love attacking a long straight section, but this straightaway leads right into a trap. Overcooking the entry into the 3rd sweeper will cost me a ton of time. I need to be aggressive, but not so aggressive that I miss my braking zone or add distance in the sweeper by going too deep or too wide. You can see the skid marks left by other drivers. Falling into the course designer's trap will slow me down at a point where I'll never be able to make up the lost time. Decoding a deceptive course is one thing. Executing in every element is another. I need to increase my duration of acceleration wherever I can and make sure I'm running the fast line through the entire course. With my plan to find speed in place, I've lowered my tire pressure to 25 psi for my second run. .132, 1.002 seconds faster. I was more patient in the rolling start, and I didn't miss a shift. I got on the gas ahead of the wall and attacked the elements up the runway. My line through the chute and the secret sweeper set me up to attack the offset gates. I got on the throttle ahead of the 4th gate, which made me faster through the noisy section. I positioned the car where I wanted it past the cone after the shed. I put the pedal down in the straightaway, but I didn't overcook the entry into the 3rd sweeper or push wide. Avoiding deception allowed me to put together a solid run, but there's definitely more time to be found out on course. Unfortunately, I couldn't find it on my last 3 runs. And my 3rd run highlights just how costly it can be when you don't crack the course's code correctly. I've kept my tires at 25 psi. 44.175 plus 3. I can't remember the last time I hit 3 cones on one run. I hit at least 1 cone in the second Wallum, which threw off my aggression heading up the runway. My line around the secret sweeper was so bad you could hear me say, "Nope, nope, nope, nope," as I was driving out of it. That hurt my entry into the offset gates. I didn't attack the cone after the shed correctly, and I had to use the brakes to keep the car composed. I was much faster in some sections, but my mistakes made me 1.043 seconds slower than my second run, not including the 6-second penalty. My last 2 runs weren't as bad as my third run, but they didn't help me improve my position in the standings. Despite my performance, I still love deceptive courses. Part of the fun of autocross is trying to figure out where the course designer has hidden speed. But was my second run fast enough to bring home the win in Cam T? First place, but only by 0.278 seconds. My newest competitor was able to chop a lot more time off of his first run than I did off of mine. I suspect that fast fox body is going to be tough to beat in the future. My 43.132 raw time was 20th out of 103 drivers. I just barely met my goals for this event. I need to do a better job of getting faster on each run if I'm going to remain competitive. I'll be back at the airport for my next autocross, but I'll have many more competitors to contend with. If I can't decode the course at that event, it just might cost me a season championship. I'll post more results videos soon.